The Galactic Council chamber floated in silence, high above the shattered world of Earth. Through the great glass windows, the planet below looked broken. Whole cities burned with faint orange light. Oceans were dark with smoke and ash. To the Council, it seemed only one truth remained. Earth was finished. Reports came one after another. Human armies had fallen. Human fleets were destroyed. No major defense lines remained. The Council's alien leaders whispered in many tongues, but all carried the same thought: humanity has lost. Dr. Orion Vance, an alien historian with long silver eyes and pale skin, studied the records carefully. His voice was low but clear. Earth has no defenses left. Their cities are in ruins. Their fleets are gone. Soon they will surrender. Other alien senators nodded. They had waited for this moment, for centuries. The humans had been too stubborn, too proud, too reckless. Many believed they were finally learning humility. But then something strange happened. A signal, faint and pulsing, appeared on the Council's display screens. It was not a message in words. It was not a cry for help. It was only a single code. Shadow. The word repeated, carried on old military channels thought to be dead for 100 years. Shadow Protocol. Online, the system translated at last. The chamber grew cold. No one knew what it meant. No one, except perhaps the humans. Far from Earth, deep in a hidden base carved into the rocks of Saturn's largest moon, Titan, a woman stood before a massive display of dark ships. Her uniform was black, marked only by a silver star. Her name was Admiral Kira Solis, and her face showed no fear. Behind her, 100 officers waited in silence. They had not spoken for days, only watching, only preparing. Kira's eyes never left the screens. Shadow Protocol is active, she said calmly. The galaxy believes Earth is finished. Let them believe it. Now we show them what they fear most. The room trembled as enormous hangar doors began to open. From beneath Titan's frozen crust, shadows stirred. Ships unlike any seen before drifted into the void. Their hulls were darker than space itself, designed to absorb light. Their engines glowed faint red, like embers hidden in coal. To the untrained eye, they looked like phantoms. The Shadow Armada. A fleet that should not exist. A fleet the galaxy had forgotten. Back in the Council chamber, alien leaders leaned closer to their consoles. Some hissed in alarm. Others whispered in panic. "What is that signal?" asked one senator with scaled skin and golden eyes. "A trap," growled another. "It must be the humans trying to scare us." But Dr. Orion Vance knew better. His studies of Earth's history told him what the others had ignored. He remembered the ancient human wars, their tactics, their brutal surprises, their habit of hiding their greatest strength until the last moment. He turned slowly, his voice sharp. "Do not make the mistake of thinking humans bluff. When they fall silent, when they stop begging, when they stop sending words, that is when death comes." The chamber fell into nervous silence. Above Titan, Admiral Kira stood at the command table. She placed her hand on the console. Her voice was steady, almost cold. "Send the message to every human resistance cell. To every survivor across Earth. Tell them, Shadow Armada has awakened." The officers saluted in silence. Moments later, encrypted signals spread across the ruined Earth. In underground shelters, in burned cities, in collapsed bunkers, the survivors heard the words. A woman in a ruined hospital whispered it with tears in her eyes. A soldier trapped beneath rubble smiled through blood and dust. Children in the dark clutched each other tighter, repeating the words like a prayer. Shadow Armada has awakened. The Council did not understand what they were hearing. But the alien fleets orbiting Earth did. Their commanders had expected surrender. They had prepared speeches of victory. But instead of silence and defeat, their sensors began to scream. One by one, strange shapes appeared on the edges of their radars. Shapes that didn't move like normal fleets. Shapes that seemed to vanish into the void, only to reappear closer. The commanders shouted orders. "Stay in formation." But fear spread quickly. Then the mysterious voice returned on all channels.
Calm. Steady.
Human. This is Admiral Kira Solis. Shadow Protocol is online. To the fleets above Earth, I suggest you leave. The Shadow is coming for you. The galaxy froze. Who was this human admiral? Where did her fleet come from? How had Earth, broken and burned, suddenly called forth such a ghostly armada? No one knew the answers. But one thing became certain. Humanity had not surrendered. They had only gone silent. And now, the silence was broken. Dr. Orion Vance stared out the great window toward Earth. His alien hands trembled slightly. He whispered words the others did not understand, words from an old human book he had once studied. The darkest hour is just before the dawn. He turned to the council, his silver eyes sharp. The humans are not finished. The war is only beginning. And this time, they fight with shadows. The chamber filled with unease. Across the galaxy, millions watched the broadcast. And somewhere, hidden in the dark, Earth's true strength finally awoke. The alien fleets above Earth were massive. Cruisers from the Vornak Empire, needle-shaped and covered in dark armor, circled like predators. Sleek warships of the Lothari Dominion glowed with bright blue engines, their cannons ready to fire on the ruins below. Hundreds of ships waited, certain their victory was already sealed. For hours, they had watched Earth burn. Now, they prepared the final broadcast, humanity's surrender to the Galactic Council. But the broadcast never came. Instead, their sensors filled with whispers of something moving in the void. At first, commanders thought it was static, ghost echoes. But then, the ghosts took shape. Black ships emerged from the darkness, silent as death. They gave no warning, no signal, no banner. Only the faint crimson glow of their engines marked them against the stars. The Shadow Armada. On Titan's command deck, Admiral Kira Solis stood with hands behind her back, calm as stone. She watched the unfolding battle through the holoscreen. "Enemy fleets do not yet understand," she said softly. "That will change." Her officers looked to her for orders. Their faces were pale, but their eyes burned. For generations, their families had sworn silence, guarding the existence of the Shadow Armada until this very moment. Kira's voice cut through the silence. "Shadow Fleet, engage." In the void above Earth, it began. A single shadow cruiser slid from behind a shattered moon fragment. It did not open fire. Instead, a wave of electronic noise blasted outward, tearing through alien sensors. Enemy radars blinked and died. Engines flickered. Weapon locks broke. The aliens shouted in panic. "Jamming field! We cannot see them." From the blackness, shadow ships appeared like wraiths. Their weapons unleashed beams of pure white light, slicing through the first Vornak battleship. The great ship cracked in half, fire spilling into space. Before the aliens could respond, the shadows vanished again, cloaking themselves in distorted space. It was not a battle. It was a hunt. On Earth's surface, survivors looked up at the night sky. For weeks, the heavens had only shown enemy fire raining down. Now they saw something different. Streaks of light. Alien ships exploding. Darkness cutting through the stars. In a ruined bunker beneath New London, a child pointed upward. "Mom, is that us?" The woman, weak from hunger, whispered, "Yes, that's us." Her voice trembled, but for the first time in months, it carried hope. Back in the Galactic Council chamber, chaos spread. Senators shouted over one another as live feeds showed the impossible. Alien fleets larger than anything Earth should have been able to resist, were being torn apart. "How can this be?" roared a scaled senator with golden eyes. "Human fleets were destroyed." "They were," Dr. Orion Vance answered quietly. "But the shadows were never counted among them." The chamber fell into uneasy silence. Above Earth, the hunt grew more brutal. Shadow frigates darted between the massive Dominion ships, planting charges on their hulls before vanishing again. Explosions rippled across the enemy formation. Vornak commanders tried to rally. "Form shields." focus fire on their engines. But the shadows refused to fight like other fleets. They did not stand in lines. They did not trade fire. They struck from all sides, melted into darkness, and struck again. One Dominion captain screamed into his comms, "They are everywhere. Ghosts.
Demons.
Moments later, his ship split apart, drifting silent into Earth's gravity well. Inside her command deck, Admiral Kira's eyes narrowed. Every move she made was precise, every strike planned years before. She had studied the alien empires. She knew their pride. She knew they believed humans to be reckless fighters, charging without thought. So she gave them something else. Something colder. Something far worse. "The shadows are not reckless," she whispered. "We are patient. And now, we collect the debt they owe." The alien fleet commanders realized the truth too late. Their forces were collapsing. Dozens of ships burned. Hundreds more were blind and powerless. Retreat alarms filled the airwaves. One Vornak general shouted, "Fall back. Retreat to safe distance." Another hissed, "No. We cannot retreat from a dying planet. Press forward." But fear spread faster than orders. The once proud fleets began to fracture. In the Galactic Council chamber, Dr. Orion Vance leaned forward, his silver eyes sharp. "Do you see?" he asked the senators. "This is what I warned of. The humans do not fight like us. They do not announce. They do not beg. When all seems lost, that is when they strike hardest." One senator hissed in fear, "If they can destroy fleets in silence, what happens when they come for us?" The thought froze the chamber. On Titan, Admiral Kira Solis stood as reports flowed in. 72 enemy ships destroyed. 109 in retreat. Casualties minimal. She nodded once. No celebration. No cheer. Only calm. "Good. But this is only the beginning. Send the next order." Her second-in-command hesitated. "Admiral, do we reveal it now? The full shadow protocol?" The deck fell silent, all eyes on her. Kira stared at Earth on the screen, broken, burning, but not defeated. Her voice was ice.
Yes.
"The galaxy thinks we are dying. Now they will learn the truth. Activate Phase 2. Across the stars, hidden doors began to open. Old bases long buried awoke. Codes locked for centuries unlocked themselves. The shadows were not a single fleet. They were an empire inside an empire. And the galaxy had just seen the first flicker of its power. The great chamber of the Galactic Council was louder than war itself. Voices clashed, shouts filled the air, and the hollow screens above showed burning fleets retreating from Earth. No one could believe it. The humans, broken, starving, their cities reduced to ash, had risen from the grave. But not as the galaxy expected. They had risen as shadows. The Chancellor of the Council, a tall being of light known as Sarenth, raised her glowing staff to silence the storm. Even then, whispers ran through the chamber like wildfire. "You have seen the images," Sarenth said, her voice calm but sharp. "Entire fleets destroyed. The Dominion shattered. The Vornak in retreat. This is unacceptable." A senator with a long snout and golden robes slammed his desk. "Unacceptable? It is impossible. Earth should be finished. How can they still fight?" Dr. Orion Vance, seated quietly in the observer section, spoke for the first time. His deep voice cut through the noise. "They fight because you never understood them." Eyes turned to him, some in anger, some in fear. Orion leaned forward. "Humans survive through silence. They hide their blades until you lean too close. The Shadow Protocol, it is not new. It is old. Older than many empires here. I warned this council, but you did not listen." A senator hissed, "You sound as if you admire them." "I study them," Orion replied. "And I tell you this, if the shadows are only beginning, then the galaxy is in danger." The chamber fell into uneasy silence. In the far sectors of space, survivors of the Dominion and Vornak fleets limped home, carrying tales of the nightmare. Their reports spread faster than light. Ships that vanish in darkness. Weapons that slice through armor. Silent hunters. The galaxy trembled. Back on Titan, Admiral Kira Solis stood before a massive holomap. Enemy fleets retreated into the black. Her officers reported updates with crisp voices, but their hands shook with the weight of what they had unleashed. Enemy losses. Catastrophic. Retreat continues. Civilian resistance across Earth growing stronger. Kira studied the map, then spoke. Good. But the aliens will not stay afraid. Fear turns to anger. Anger turns to fire. They will come again, stronger than before. Her second-in-command, Captain Reese, frowned. Admiral, do you believe they will unite? They must, she said. It is their nature. They cannot allow us to rise. Which means we must rise faster. Her eyes hardened as she looked at Earth's scarred surface. Phase 2 has begun. Let the galaxy know. Humanity is not finished. Humanity is everywhere. While Titan's fleet regrouped, strange signals echoed across forgotten colonies. Abandoned mines on asteroids lit with power. Deep bunkers under ruined cities opened. The shadows had been waiting for centuries, hidden by human hands. And now all of them awoke. In the council chamber, the debate reached boiling point. We must destroy Earth completely, shouted a reptilian senator with crimson scales. Before the shadows spread to other worlds, a feathered senator shook her head. Destroying Earth will not stop them. If they can strike from hidden bases, if they can cloak entire fleets, then they may already be inside our sectors. Then we burn them all, the reptilian roared. Every colony, every hidden station. No mercy. Dr. Orion Vance rose again. His voice was steady, almost mournful. If you strike them blindly, you will only make them stronger. You will prove their greatest weapon, your fear of them. Silence. Alien sympathizer, one shouted. But Orion stood tall, unshaken. You call me sympathizer?
No.
I am historian. And history tells us this. When humans are cornered, when you burn their homes and kill their children, they do not break. They become shadows. And shadows never die. The chamber froze. For the first time in centuries, the council was afraid. Above Titan, Admiral Kira walked the silent halls of her flagship, Umbra's Wrath. She paused by a viewing window, gazing at the stars. Her reflection stared back, calm eyes, silver hair tied tight, her uniform sharp and cold. Captain Reese approached quietly. The council debates your destruction. It will not be long before they unite against us. Kira did not look away from the stars.
Good.
Let them unite. The galaxy has ruled us like cattle for centuries. Now, they will know what hides in the dark. Reese hesitated, then asked softly, Admiral, what is Phase 2? Kira finally turned, her gaze sharp as a blade. Phase 1 was defense. Phase 2 is expansion. The shadows were never meant only for Earth. We were meant for the stars. Her words struck like thunder. Reese's heart raced. Expansion meant one thing. War beyond survival. War for dominance. Kira placed a hand on the glass. The galaxy will call us monsters. Let them. We will show them that humanity is not prey. We are the hunters. Back in the council chamber, the chancellor raised her staff once more. This debate is ended. A decision will be made. All voices fell silent. From this day forward, Earth and its shadows are declared a galactic threat. The full force of the council shall be prepared. Gasps echoed. Even the senators who had hesitated before now nodded grimly. The galaxy had chosen. It would fight the shadows with everything it had. Dr. Orion Vance lowered his head. He knew what was coming, war unlike any the stars had ever seen. And far away, Admiral Kira Solis smiled faintly in the darkness. For this was exactly what she had been waiting for. The galaxy had not moved with such speed in centuries. Across 1,000 systems, war drums sounded. Fleets once sworn to rival banners now flew together, carrying the crest of the Galactic Council. Massive dreadnoughts left dry docks, their engines glowing like newborn suns. Convoys of cruisers and carriers streamed through hyperspace lanes. Even ancient war machines, buried in reserve worlds for generations, were pulled back into the light. The galaxy had made its choice. The shadows of Earth would be destroyed. Dr. Orion Vance watched the war preparations from the orbiting station of Veros Prime. His face was calm, but his eyes betrayed unease. The Council had called him a witness expert for the coming war effort, but Orion knew the truth. They did not want his advice. They wanted his silence. He had studied humans for too long. A hollow screen flickered beside him, showing fleets gathering at staging points. Thousands of ships, millions of troops, united by one fear. Orion whispered to himself. They do not understand what they face. They do not fight an army. They fight a shadow. On Titan, Admiral Kira Solis stood in the war chamber of her flagship, Umbra's Wrath. The holomap before her showed the galaxy's armada spreading like fire. Her officers waited, silent, for her command. Finally, she spoke. Phase 2 begins now. The Council thinks war will end us, but they do not know what we built in silence. She gestured to the map. At her signal, hidden sectors lit up. Symbols of long-forgotten colonies flickered alive. Every hidden base, every buried arsenal, every shadow fleet, awaken them, she ordered. A young officer hesitated. Admiral, some of those bases have been silent for generations. Are they still alive? Kira's lips curved in the faintest smile. You will see. The galaxy soon saw. In the black of deep space, forgotten stations lit their reactors. Dust-covered ships broke free from asteroid shells. Silent fleets, waiting centuries for a signal, drifted from the shadows. The Council Armada had numbers, but humanity had patience. The first clash came at Vornax Gate, a narrow hyperspace channel. The Council sent 3 dreadnoughts and 20 escorts to secure it. Their orders were simple. Seal the passage, cut the shadows off from expansion. They expected a battle. They expected noise, fire, fury. But when they arrived, the channel was empty. Scanners show nothing, reported a nervous officer. No ships, no signals. The dreadnought commander frowned. Impossible. They must be here. Silence answered. Then, without warning, shadows moved. Human vessels uncloaked all at once, surrounding the Council fleet like predators around prey. Their hulls shimmered black, absorbing starlight. Engage, the commander roared. But the shadows did not attack with lasers or missiles. Instead, their ships emitted a strange pulse, silent, invisible. The Council's systems blinked. Engines died. Weapons shut down. Dreadnought shields collapsed like glass. The officers screamed. We're blind. They've cut everything. Then the shadows struck. Silent drones swarmed from the black ships, piercing armor, tearing through corridors. Not to kill, to disable,
To take.
Within minutes, the dreadnoughts were powerless. Their crews were dragged into the dark. And when the Shadow Fleet left, nothing remained but cold, empty hulks drifting in space. The Council's first battle had ended in silence. Back at Veros Prime, the Council chamber erupted. Reports of the disaster spread like poison. How can they cut entire systems? One senator shrieked. They wield technology we have never seen, another cried. Impossible. They were primitives. The Chancellor, Sarenth, stood firm, but her light flickered weakly.
No.
They were never primitives. We mistook silence for weakness. Dr. Orion Vance rose slowly. His voice carried across the chamber. They have revealed their weapon. Not strength. Not numbers. Silence. They strike unseen. They disable. They vanish. And you, he looked at the gathered senators, are afraid of the dark. The chamber fell silent. No one could deny it. On Titan, Admiral Kira Solis received the report with calm satisfaction. The first gate has fallen, Captain Reese said. The Council is shaken. Kira nodded.
Good.
They will come again, stronger. And we will be ready. Reese hesitated. Admiral, we took prisoners from the dreadnoughts. What shall we do with them? Kira's eyes turned cold. Release them. Reese blinked in shock. Release? They will run back to their masters. They will tell the galaxy what they saw. Fear is the greatest weapon. Let them carry it. Reese swallowed, understanding. These battles were not only about ships and firepower. They were about terror. The shadows fought not just for survival, but for control of the galaxy's very mind. But far beyond Titan, in the silent halls of a forgotten shadow base, something even greater stirred. Buried deep beneath ice, ancient machines awoke. A fleet unlike any other, the Eclipse Fleet. Ships blacker than void, their hulls layered with cloaking fields so perfect that even light bent away. This was Phase 2's true secret. And when Admiral Kira Solis saw the fleet emerge, her calm mask almost broke. Even she had not expected power this great. The shadows were no longer just defending Earth. They were preparing to claim the galaxy. The Council could not hide its fear anymore. The fall of Vornak's Gate had spread like fire across the galaxy. Worlds that once trusted the Council now whispered doubts. Armies that had sworn loyalty began asking, what if the shadows cannot be defeated? The Galactic Council knew they had only one choice left. They would unleash the weapon they had sworn never to use. On the storm-racked planet of Karen, deep beneath an ocean of lightning, a secret chamber opened. Inside slept the Stellar Lance, a weapon of ancient design.
It was not a ship.
It was not a fleet. It was a starkiller. When fired, its core could collapse the very heart of a sun, turning systems into frozen tombs. It had been built during the Age of War, then hidden away because its power terrified even the Council itself. But now, fear had turned into desperation. Reactivate the lance, Chancellor Sarenth ordered. Her voice shook, though she tried to appear strong. If the shadows hide in darkness, we will burn the darkness itself. Dr. Orion Vance stood at the edge of the chamber as the colossal machine awakened. The air vibrated with power. Great rings rotated around the weapon, glowing with blue fire. He whispered to himself, "You fools. You think destruction is victory. You think shadows can be burned. But shadows live where light cannot reach." A council guard turned to him. "What did you say?" "Nothing," Orion replied calmly. But his eyes were fixed on the weapon, and in his heart, dread grew. Far across the void, Admiral Kira Solis already knew. Her shadow armada had ears everywhere, whispers in every system. No secret stayed hidden from the eyes of Earth's forgotten network. On the bridge of Umbra's Wrath, her officers waited. "They will fire it," Captain Reese said grimly. "The Stellar Lance will target our strongholds. If it reaches Titan—" "It will not," Kira interrupted, her voice steady as steel. "How can you be certain?" Reese pressed. Kira turned, her dark eyes calm. "Because the lance has a weakness. Every weapon built by fear carries one. And we built its mirror long ago." The Council chose its first target, the Umbra Forge, a hidden shadow shipyard orbiting a dead world. The Stellar Lance was positioned. Its rings aligned. Energy bled into its core. "Target locked," the chief engineer announced. "One pulse, and the system's star will collapse." The council chamber watched in silence. Billions across the galaxy tuned in through live transmission. This was not only a strike, it was a message. The shadows can bleed. "Fire," Sarenth commanded. A beam of blue light tore across the void. The star near the Umbra Forge shuddered. Its surface rippled, then caved inward. Within minutes, the sun collapsed, pulling its planets into eternal night. The Umbra Forge was gone. Thousands of shadow ships, caught in the blast, were reduced to ash. The galaxy cheered. Relief flooded every world. "The shadows are not invincible," the council declared. "The darkness can be destroyed." But the celebration did not last. Hours later, across the very systems that cheered, shadows moved. The Stellar Lance had burned a star, but it had also revealed itself. The shadows now knew its location. And Admiral Kira Solis did not wait. The counterattack came silently. In the Karen system, where the Lance was recharging, alarms blared. Ships scrambled, turrets aimed, fleets moved into formation. But no enemy appeared. Instead, a whisper spread across their comms. Shadow Protocol. Mirror online. Every screen flickered. Every system glitched. The Lance's controls turned black. "What is this?" the chief engineer shouted. "We've lost targeting. Shields are failing." Dr. Orion Vance closed his eyes. He understood. They built a mirror. Of course they did. In the void above Karen, the shadows revealed themselves. Dozens of ships emerged, not firing, not attacking. Instead, they projected a field, an invisible net of energy. The stellar lance, once glowing with blue fire, now pulsed with black light. The council panicked. "What are they doing to the lance?" Admiral Kira's voice came through every channel, calm and merciless. "You use a weapon that collapses stars. But you never asked what happens when the collapse is reversed." The lance shuddered. Its rings spun faster, not under council control but under the shadows. Energy built, not blue, but red. The void trembled. Then, in an instant, the weapon fired, not at a star, but at the council's own fleet. Where the lance destroyed suns, now it inverted the void. It created singularities. Black holes tore open, swallowing dreadnoughts whole. Council soldiers screamed as their ships stretched and broke apart. Within minutes, half the defending fleet was gone, devoured by their own weapon. The galaxy fell silent. Billions who had watched the Lance's triumph now watched its curse. The Council's greatest hope had become their greatest terror. On Titan, Admiral Kira Solis stood watching the destruction. Her officers were shaken, but she remained unbroken. "Send this message," she ordered coldly. "Let them know. Every weapon they raise against us becomes ours. The shadows do not destroy. They reflect." Dr. Orion Vance survived the massacre. He alone was spared by the shadows, taken aboard Umbra's wrath. When he was brought before Kira, he bowed his head. "You knew this would happen," he said softly. "You let them use the lance." Kira's expression was unreadable. "They needed to believe they had power before we could take it from them. Fear is only useful when it is broken." Orion looked into her eyes and saw no triumph, only a deeper silence. It was then he understood. This war was not about victory. It was about reshaping the galaxy itself. And the shadows were only just beginning. The galaxy trembled. The Council's fleets were shattered. The stellar lance, once their symbol of hope, had been turned into a curse. Billions of citizens, who only hours before cheered, now whispered in fear. Whispers always traveled fast in the dark. And everywhere, one question spread. What if the shadows rule already? The council chamber was in chaos. Leaders shouted across the hall, demanding explanations, demanding plans. Chancellor Sarenth slammed her fist against the marble table. "We cannot allow panic to win," she cried. "We are still the council. We." But her words were drowned by the echo of footsteps. The chamber doors opened. A figure entered, tall, wrapped in a cloak of dark gray. She did not rush, did not bow, did not ask permission. She walked straight to the heart of the chamber, as if it belonged to her. It was Admiral Kira Solis. Behind her came a small escort of silent soldiers. Not council guards. Not human soldiers either. They moved like shadows, their faces hidden, their presence suffocating. The chamber fell silent. "You dare invade this hall?" Sarenth hissed. "This is the seat of the galaxy's power." Kira's eyes, cold and sharp, studied the Chancellor. Then she spoke, not with anger, not with cruelty, but with a calm finality that froze the room. "This hall is not power. Power is the silence after fear. And that silence belongs to us." Her soldiers spread across the chamber. The council guards hesitated. None moved. "Arrest her!" Sarenth screamed. But no one obeyed. From the shadows at the edge of the chamber, Dr. Orion Vance stepped forward. His clothes were torn from battle, his eyes heavy with exhaustion. Yet there was a strange calmness in him now. "She warned us," Orion said softly. "We laughed. We thought the shadows were only ghosts. But ghosts walk where fear lives. and fear is everywhere. Traitor. Sarenth spat. You stand with her? With them. Orion did not answer. Instead, he turned to Kira. You've won. But tell me, what do you want?
Rule? Revenge?
The galaxy will not accept chains forever. Kira's gaze moved from him to the thousands of faces watching through broadcast feeds across the stars. Billions were witnessing this moment. I do not want chains, she said. Her voice was calm, steady, and terrible. I want silence. A galaxy free of the Council's lies. A galaxy free of their endless wars, their false empires, their weak peace. We will not destroy your council. She stepped onto the Chancellor's platform, raising her hand. We will wear it. The chamber erupted with shouts. Some leaders begged for mercy, others threatened her with armies that no longer existed. But their voices were meaningless. Kira sat on the Chancellor's chair, the silent throne. It was a seat meant for rulers chosen by thousands of systems. But tonight, no vote mattered. The shadows had claimed it. Orion watched with horror and awe. He realized then that this was not conquest, it was replacement. The shadows had not come to burn the galaxy. They had come to become the galaxy. The broadcast spread across every world. People watched their rulers fall silent as Admiral Kira Solis, a human, a shadow, became the voice of power. And then she spoke again, her words traveling to every screen, every ear, every heart. You thought the shadows were invaders. You thought we were your enemy, but we were always here. We were the fear behind your doors, the whispers in your systems, the cracks in your fleets. We are not destruction. We are inevitability. Her soldiers raised no weapons. They needed none. The silence itself was her weapon. Your council is over. A new order rises. You will not resist, because you have already lost the will to resist. On Titan, shadow fleets gathered in perfect silence. On Earth, the old cities stirred with life long hidden. Across the outer colonies, signals flared as hidden armies revealed themselves. It was not war anymore. It was unveiling. Sarenth, trembling, tried one last act of defiance. You cannot rule a galaxy with fear forever. Kira turned her head slightly. Her voice softened, almost gentle. Not fear. Silence. And with that, Sarenth was removed from the throne. Not killed, not harmed, simply erased. Her name, her records, her power disappeared, as if she had never existed. The shadows had rewritten her out of history. The council chamber gasped in terror. Orion's breath caught in his throat. He understood. This was their true power. Not death. Not destruction. Erasure. That night, the galaxy changed. Worlds that once resisted fell silent, not because they were conquered, but because they no longer remembered why they had resisted. The shadows spread their net, rewriting memory, rewriting truth. Children awoke asking, what was the council? Parents hesitated, unable to answer. In weeks, the galaxy would not only obey the shadows, it would forget it had ever lived without them. On the silent throne, Admiral Kira Solis closed her eyes. Dr. Orion Vance stood before her, torn between admiration and horror. He whispered, You've made the galaxy yours. Kira opened her eyes. A faint smile touched her lips. No, she said quietly. We've made it human again. And the silence that followed was absolute.